Why you are poor and he is rich. Two people start life at the same point. They go to the same school, live in the same neighborhood, earn almost the same salary. But 15 years later, one person is struggling with bills, debt, stress, and financial insecurity, while the other owns investments, assets, businesses, and enjoys financial freedom. What changed? Was it luck? Was it talent? Was it family background? Sometimes those things matter. But most of the time, the real difference is something much deeper. It's the way they think, the habits they repeat every day, and the financial decisions they make over time. Today, we're going to uncover the 10 biggest differences between poor thinking and rich thinking. Point 1: Spending versus investing. A poor person spends money to look rich. A rich person invests money to become rich. The poor mindset focuses on appearance. Expensive phones, luxury clothes, status symbols. Things that lose value immediately after purchase. But rich people think differently. Before buying luxuries, they buy assets. They invest in businesses, stocks, skills, real estate, and opportunities that can generate future income. A poor person asks, "What can I buy today?" A rich person asks, "What will pay me tomorrow?" That single difference changes everything over time. Point 2: Entertainment versus education. Most people spend hours every day consuming entertainment. Scrolling social media, watching gossip, arguing online, wasting valuable time. Meanwhile, wealthy people spend their free time learning. They study money, business, psychology, communication, investing, because they understand one powerful truth. Entertainment gives temporary pleasure, but knowledge can create permanent income. The more valuable your knowledge becomes, the more valuable you become. Point 4: One income versus multiple income streams. Most people depend entirely on one paycheck. If that salary stops, their entire financial life collapses. Rich people avoid this trap. They build multiple income streams. Investments, dividends, businesses, rental income, digital products, online income. Because they know financial freedom comes from diversification. The more income sources you build, the safer your financial future becomes. Point 5: Complaining versus problem solving. Poor thinking focuses on problems. Rich thinking focuses on solutions. When the economy becomes difficult, most people panic. They complain about inflation, prices, jobs, and bad luck. But wealthy people ask a different question. Where is the opportunity? History shows us that every crisis created new millionaires. Every market crash created future wealth. Every economic shift rewarded people who adapted quickly. Rich people train themselves to solve problems instead of complaining about them, because problems are often hidden opportunities. Point 6: Fear of risk versus smart risk. Many people are afraid of taking risks, so they keep all their money sitting idle. It feels safe. But inflation silently reduces the value of money every single year. Wealthy people understand that doing nothing can actually be the biggest risk. But they do not gamble blindly. They take calculated risks. They study before investing. They learn before acting. They manage risk carefully. And then they take action. Because successful people understand one important rule: you cannot grow financially without stepping outside your comfort zone. Point 7: Working for money versus money working for you. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money. If they stop working, income stops too. Rich people think differently. They build assets that continue generating income even while they sleep. Stocks pay dividends. Businesses generate profits. Real estate creates rent. Content creates royalties. Eventually, their money begins working harder than they do. That is the true goal of wealth. Not working forever, but building systems that create freedom. Point 8. Jealousy versus inspiration. Poor thinking becomes jealous of successful people. They say, "He got lucky. He probably cheated. That could never happen to me." But wealthy thinkers study successful people instead of hating them. They ask, what habits help them succeed? What skills do they have? What can I learn from them? Because successful people leave clues behind. And those clues can completely change your future if you are willing to learn. Point 9. Saving versus investing. Saving money is important. But saving alone is not enough. If your savings grow slower than inflation, your purchasing power keeps shrinking. Wealthy people understand this. That's why they invest consistently in productive assets. They allow their money to grow over time. They use the power of compounding. And slowly, year after year, small investments become large wealth. Consistency matters far more than perfection. Point 10. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. The biggest difference between poor people and rich people is mindset. Poor thinking says, "I can't." Rich thinking says, "How can I?" Wealthy people constantly improve themselves. They develop skills, improve communication, learn new technologies, study business, build discipline. Because they understand. Your income rarely grows beyond your mindset. The person you become determines the wealth you create. Final wealth building roadmap. Now let's make this practical. Imagine someone earns 30,000 rupees per month. Instead of spending everything, they decide to invest just 6,000 rupees every month into a low-cost index fund. Not for 1 year. Not for 2 years. But consistently for 15 years. A tongue sticking out /left, /frac, 1 plus r, caret and 1, r, /right. Assuming an average annual return of around 12%. That small monthly investment could potentially grow into more than 30 lakh rupees over time. And if income increases and investments increase every year, the result becomes even more powerful. This is how ordinary people slowly build extraordinary wealth. Not through luck. Not through shortcuts. But through discipline, patience, and consistency. Finally, the truth is, rich people are not always smarter. They simply think differently. They invest before spending. They think long term. They learn continuously. They build assets. And most importantly, they stay consistent when others quit. The best time to start building wealth was years ago. The second best time is today. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Wealth Creation Mindset 8 for more videos on financial freedom, investing, and building long-term wealth. And remember, small financial decisions today can completely change your future tomorrow.